Today, we're going to practice adding 3-digit numbers. You're going to need this packet that I had you take home in your math tab in your binder. When you pull it out, go ahead and write your name at the top. Today, we're going to read this problem 3 times, and each time we're going to think about the problem in a different way so we can analyze the information and see what it's asking us to do. So the first time I read through the question, I want you to think, what is the problem about? There are 476 rocks and 148 minerals in a museum display. What is the total number of rocks and minerals in the display? So what was the problem about? Was it about donkeys and meerkats? No. What was it about? Yes, rocks and minerals. Nice. Then the second time we read through this, I want you to try to see what information are we trying to find out. What is the problem asking us to do? So this is the second read. There are 476 rocks and 148 minerals in a museum display. What is the total number of rocks and minerals in the display? So what are we trying to find out? Are we trying to find out what color the sun is? No, silly me. We're trying to find out what? What was the question? What is the total number of rocks and minerals? Total number of rocks and minerals. Got it. Okay, and the last time I want you to read it with me, and let's look for information that is important. So here we go. There are 476 rocks and 148 minerals in a museum display. What is the total number of rocks and minerals in the display? So what information did you think was important? The numbers? Yeah. What about words? Were there any important words? I don't know if you noticed this, but and is an important word. And tells me that we're going to add. There's also another keyword in there. We've already underlined it, but let's add another line under total. Total also helps me know we're going to add. And I want you to go ahead in this space and try to add those two numbers together from the top question using a picture, a chart, a model, something we practiced in class that can help you decide how to add those two numbers together. Just pause the video here and try to think on your own for a minute. After you're done doing some thinking, go ahead and unpause the video and we'll work through it together. Okay, I hope you've given it a try on your own, but we're going to go ahead and turn the page for now, and we'll come back to this page when we're done. So let's turn to the next page. This gives us some examples of ways you could have solved the problem on your own, but we're going to need some crayons to help us see the connection between the numbers a little better. So I'd like you to get out a red, a green, and a blue crayon. And go ahead and pause the video so you can grab those out. All right, you've got your crayons. Let's look at the first example. So the problem here is still the same. We're still talking about 476 rocks and 148 minerals. And we're looking for the total number, so we need to add them together. So in this first example, they put the number 476 on the top, and then they added it to 148. And to make it easier, we're going to color code the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So we're going to start with red, and we're just going to lightly shade in the equation the 100 numbers. And lightly so we can still see the numbers, 4 and 1. And then over here, shade 400 and 100. And if I go too fast, you know you can pause the video at any time. All right. Then we're going to go to the tens with the blue crayon. The tens number is this middle digit, 7 and 4. And 7 and 4 is really 7 tens and 4 tens. And then we'll color code the ones green. 6 ones plus 8 ones. And then over here, the words, 6 ones plus 8 ones. So in this example, we're going to take the hundreds here, 4 plus 1, and we're going to add them together. So 400 plus 100 is 500. And then we're going to add the tens together. So 7 plus 4 is 7 tens plus 4 tens. And if you add 7 plus 4, you get 11 tens. And then finally, we're going to add the ones. 6 plus 8 is still just 6 plus 8, and that gives us 14 ones. So one way you can solve this question, what is the total number of rocks and minerals in the display, is to show each number as hundreds, tens, and ones. And that is your final answer if you chose to solve it this way. Let's look at another example. In this example, we're going to add the hundreds first, then the tens, and then the ones, but this time without the words. So we're going to color code it again so we can see the connection. Red for the hundreds. And over here, 400 plus 100. And then let's color code the tens are blue. 7 tens, 4 tens. And that's 70 plus 40. And then finally, green for the ones. 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8. So in this example, they first added the hundreds. So 400 plus 100, they added it together to make 500. And we know that's 500 because 400 plus 100 is 500. So below the equation, they added the 500. And then the next step was to go to the tens. And then 7 tens is 70, plus 4 tens is 40. So they wrote 110, because 110 is 70 plus 40. And then the last step is 6 plus 8 ones, which is 14. And we know that because 6 plus 8 is 14. And this is a second way you can leave your answer, 500 plus 110 plus 14. And a third way you could solve your problem or your question is by doing the opposite of what we did in the second step. And that's, this time we would add the ones first, then the tens, and finally the hundreds. So let's color code this again. Hundreds are red. 400 plus 100. Actually, I should start with the ones first. Silly me. 6 plus 8. That's the ones first. 6 plus 8 is 14. 6 plus 8. Then the tens. 7 plus 4 is really 70 plus 40. 70 plus 40 is 110. And finally, the hundreds. 400 plus 100 is 500. And then you just bring them down and make them into an equation. 14 plus 110 plus 500. So now that you have 3 different examples of how to solve the problem, I'd like to go back to the first page that we were doing. This is page 14, but let's flip back to page 13. That's the front of the packet. And you may have tried an example up here to solve the problem, but I want you to find some empty space somewhere in this box or down below to try these problems with me. And I think it would be fun to use our crayons to solve it to help us, and maybe a combination of our pencils. So let's give it a try. Let's try the first example. And if you've already done this, it's okay to do it again with me, but find some space somewhere and let's try it. And if you use this whole page, you can use the back side in that white space to try some with us. So I want you to write the equation first with your pencil. So 476 plus 148, just like an equation. With the equal sign is the straight line at the bottom. And then this time we're going to take it apart and just do the hundreds first and add the words. So what we want to do is draw an arrow here to show this first equation. We're going to take the 4 and move it over here, but I want to use my pencil or my crayon to write the 4 because my hundreds I want to do red. So 4 hundreds, and then we're going to go to the tens, but let's add a plus sign here. And then the 7 is in the tens, so let's do a 7 blue. Switch back to the pencil and write tens. And add a plus sign. And then let's add our ones. 6 ones. And now we need to do the same for this number, 148. Draw an arrow to show that we're going to do it over here. 100 in red. And bring down the same word, 100. So we know we're adding the same plus 4 tens plus 8 ones. And then we're going to move this equal sign underneath. And we just made our equation same, but this time we added the words. So 400s plus 100s equals 500s plus 7 tens plus 4 tens is how many tens? 11, good. 11 tens. Plus the ones. 6 ones plus 8 ones, that's 14. And we can leave our answer just like that. Let's try another example before we go. Let's do the last one where we add the ones, then the tens, and then the hundreds. So find another spot and add the equation, or write the equation again. 476 plus 148, your equal sign. And this time we're not going to use words. Let's add the ones column, then the tens column, and then the 100s column. So 6 plus 8, that's the ones column, 6 plus 8, and that's 14. I'm just going to write it with my pencil. That's 14. And then let's add the tens. 7 plus 4 is really 70 plus 40. 70 plus 40 is 110. And then the hundreds, 400s plus 100, 500. And if you want, you can also show that 14 is 6 plus 8, 6 plus 8, and 110, that's 70 plus 40. And then the 500, we got that from 400 plus 100, so you can show that you did the math. 400 plus 100. And then we don't want to leave our answer this way. We want to move it down. So 14 plus this next number, 110 plus 500. And that's the way you can leave your answer. All right, nice work today, adding 3-digit numbers. See you tomorrow.